Alright, morning folks, my name is Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University, a site for legacy death and taxes. And lo and behold, it is the return of death and taxes to this channel. It's been a little while, gotten some complaints that I'm not playing enough D&T, so I figured it was time. And Dr. Bill, thank you very much for your continued support, and I know you're quite happy to see this morning. Welcome. Um, so this was not the list I was planning on playing today. But when I posted that I was going to be doing a D&T stream, Daryl Ayers messaged me and was like, hey, I've been having a lot of success with a build like this one. You should try it out. So essentially, actually, maybe let's take one step back. Let's look at what I was playing, and then let's look at what he's playing, because like they're very conceptually different lists that are trying to do the same thing, if that makes sense. Boogie, Ren and 6 yesterday was awesome in 4-color loam. The card's very, very good. I definitely think that I correctly identified it as one of the better cards, if not the absolute best card from Modern Horizons 1. It was just devastating to be able to like play that on turn 1 and then like curve it into like Lily or Knight or something like that. And even the ability to just like hit your land drops every turn was fantastic. Oh, and Dr. Bill, since you were going to get me some German flicker wisps, I picked this up yesterday that I'm pretty stoked about. Let's see if I can get this on camera. That's not going to be readable. It's a Russian walking ballista. I'm stoked about it. Star City had one in stock when I went to go and pick one up. All right. So at SCG Con, I was trying to fight against like the Dreadhorde Arcanist like blue-red Delver decks by playing Brightlings and loading up on Path to Exiles in the sideboard. That was kind of like my approach to that matchup. Whereas Daryl is approaching the matchup by playing 3 Caverns, 3 Prelates, and just trying to lock them out of ones. You know, Dreadhorde Arcanist as like a 1/3 that's not doing anything. Not that big of a deal, right? So to further synergize with like 3 Cavernous Souls, which presumably is going on humans, he also has a pair of Tomic Distinguished Advocates. So its ability is relevant against like Ren and 6 and Loam and like some of the land stuff, and it also like helps to protect your caverns a little bit. So like there is some synergy there. I think there's more changes that need to be made to this deck list, and I talked to Daryl about some of them last night, but I decided that this would be a good list to stream. So I took his exact main deck, and I just subbed 1 Caracas for 1 Plains, and I took his exact sideboard, except I turned Cataclysm #3 into Sword of Truth and Justice because, well, I really want to play with that card. His sideboard's pretty stock. Rather than like the needles that I'm trying out, he's going with Disenchants in that slot. The Sun Lances are a little weird over Path to Exile. Yeah, I know, actually D&T, it's weird, right? The Sun Lances are a little strange over Path to Exile, but I can understand not wanting to give basics to a bunch of like the basic heavy deck lists that we're seeing right now. You know, like Blue-Red Delver, for example, usually has 3-ish basics. So even if they fetch out 1 or 2, you might still run into giving them a land early on in the matchup. Later in the matchup, probably not, but in the first 3 turns or so, it's pretty likely that you're going to end up giving them a land. So let's try this and see how it feels. That's a Legacy challenge. Let's go to a Legacy League. Still getting used to the new Moto interface. I feel like I'm always fine once I get to this point, because this still looks enough like the old one. I'm not used to the big old purple screen yet. I'm going to keep this hand. quite good. This is definitely going to be a lead on port hand, though. All right. None of that for us. Ponder. There we go. All right. Sorry, I had turned my sounds too low and I couldn't hear them. You can't hear those, but I can. All right, so ponder, no shuffle, keep the card. This is just going to be jam Thalia into whatever deck my opponent is playing. Thalia, historically, very good against Underground Sea. Feels like Grixis control. Maybe Grixis Delver with Chain Lightning, actually. So let's take them off of red, decrease the chance that they can actually remove this Mom that's going to hit play. There are worlds where I'm not supposed to wasteland them there, and I'm supposed to play towards uncounterable Palace Jailer on whatever card they end up slamming. Morning, Bentley. Hope you're doing well. There's no shuffle with the Ponder, by the way, so they found something they like, presumably a Bolt. Yes. All right. So can't actually produce a Flicker Wisp here. Here we see the downside of Cavern of Souls and why I haven't been too hot on this card. Dreadhorde Arcanist hitting the table and resolving is like the scariest thing that can happen. So let's try to keep them off of that. Oh, I'm having a great morning. Slept like a rock. I did a late night Modern Horizons draft. I went 4-0. I was the only Slivers drafter at the table, so I ended up with an absolutely insane deck. Like, I ended up with 4 copies. Yes, Modern Horizons draft is insanely fun. I ended up with 4 copies of Backblade Sliver, which is the pinging sliver. So I just had an insane endgame engine. And we're not going to source the Plowshares here to play around days and play into the possibility that I might draw a land for Jailer. I think I'm actually going to play Tomic out rather than source the Plowshares here. Yeah, so I end up with like literally 4 Backblade Slivers. I ended up with the sliver that gives all your slivers exalted, the sliver that gives your slivers, when they take combat damage, they deal that much damage to a player. The sliver that gives all your slivers first strike, and then 2 of the slivers that give all your slivers +2/+1. So it was a very, very powerful set of cards. Alright, so I need to answer this before it attacks, really. Because otherwise it would just attack and bolt my Tomic. So that means I Swords to Plowshares this. The main reason not to play Tomic is that it makes everything ugly. I agree with you. I also technically should have played that Mom, like, post-combat to see if they, like, bolt this or whatever. So, Daryl, I decided to try out kind of your, basically your stock list from before. I didn't add in the Brightlings that we talked about, just because I wanted to see how your, like, 3 Cavern, 3 Prelate build felt. Come on! Main deck K command? That is so rude. You're a Delver deck. Do you know you're a Delver deck? Alright, well, that's a great draw. I mean, we really want to spike this last land for Palace Jailer. Like, Palace Jailing that Delver on an empty board is probably just game over. Alright, I was just confirming that I can actually cast my stuff. So we'll let the Delver trigger resolve. A Force of Will. Force of Will not looking so hot this game, bud. Don't K command me again. I will be so sad. I'm not actually that sad about that. So the Stoneforge is going to resolve, and I am going to be able to put whatever piece of equipment I get into play successfully. Blue-Red Delver is a real deck. It is like the best Delver deck. I think this is just going to be a Batterskull to force the True Name Nemesis to be on the defensive. And I think I'm going to hold back Tomic to keep the Delver from attacking. I think the way that I lose this is by my opponent just 3-turning me before my Batterskull lifelink gets online and matters. Terramander is dead. Arcanist invalidated that card. I think that concession is early, but I do think the scales had tipped in my favor. All right. So I'm gonna try out Daryl's sideboard plan for this matchup, which is very different from how I've been approaching it. He actually boards in Rest in Peace versus these Arcanist decks, cutting Revokers, Jailer, one Wisp, and two Recruiters. I haven't been boarding in Rip in these matchups, but I'm curious to see how that feels. Normally, Rest in Peace isn't like that stellar versus some of these decks that just have like some degree of graveyard oriented value. But Arcanus is such where if you do not answer it, like within one turn cycle, you probably lose to that card. So like Echo, I'm really not overstating it. It is that good. I don't know why they have Guardian's Command, but they sure do have it. We have a very strong, stable opener, by the way. That's probably very obvious, but like, we have 2 removal spells, 2 basic lands, and a Stoneforge Mystic, as well as 2 pieces of Mana Denial. That's about as good as it gets. Snap Wasteland them turn 1. Unless I draw Vial, then I'll have to think about it. But I'll probably Wasteland them anyway. Coffee Grunt, thank you very much for your continued support. You're nearly up to a year now. I really appreciate it. Right? Weird D&T time. What is this? Well, our hand is going to be great as this game goes on, by the way. So the hope is that like we can use these early spells to like hit a 2-drop creature. Do you have... Well, that doesn't feel good. Are you just putting that in the yard because you're full of cantrips? Or is that like a desperation and I think I need to hit a 2-drop this turn play? Yeah, you can Thoughtseize me. My hand is great. Note if they Gurmag us, the Sunlands will feel pretty dumb. Just to throw that out there before it happens. I'm going to wait and just Sunlance this Delver. Play around a Daze and keep my better removal spell for later. It means I don't get to port them this turn. But that's really only punishing if they have True Name. Alright. Take my swords. Unless you can't beat double Prelate. Well, I guess you only take a Prelate if you can go and answer one in return. Yeah. So like a Daze or a Force from our opponent would be pretty sweet. I mean, we tried a jam. I don't expect the first... Oh! It worked. So this is Daryl's list. I'm not sure if Sunlance is actually good. I mean, yes, I block. Do you think I wasn't going to block? All right. So I think I get aerial mobility in play rather than redundancy of prelate this turn, because this also protects my bonus land from Wasteland, and I can port them down. So I care about Gurmag Angler, I care about Culligan's Command, I care about Abrade. Let's not get Gurmagged. Yeah, I like the Arcanist attack is free. So now there's the question of, like, do I just play another prelate on one? Or do I play it on a different number to eliminate outs to answering the first one? I think I play a redundant one on one. Toma can get in there. Well, this build definitely feels good against Delver. That's for sure. Yeah, that's fine. I knew that was happening going in. I could bounce my Tomic and redeploy it to, like, not take this damage, but then my opponent could wasteland me and take me off my port. I don't like that. If I drew another port or a wasteland, I'd then be comfortable doing that. Not even a true name. Well, we're not going to play that. I also don't think I'm going to play out the Cavern preemptively. Like, if I draw, say, a Stoneforge Mystic, I'd rather just resolve that than, like, have this in play. Alright. Do you have a Gurmag? Does it matter if you have a Gurmag? Oh, that's good. It is unclear whether or not this Tomek will be able to go all the way. So I can continue to keep my opponent off of black by wastelanding and porting, but I think it's somewhat likely that a removal spell is going to get pointed at my Tomek in the not too distant future, and Tomek Caracas is more important than anything else. So while Tomek's still on the battlefield, I think this needs to be wasteland a wasteland. Spot could be tricky. Like, my opponent can get a lot of value. I'll need to top deck something. They're going to need a lot of removal spells to, like, actually take this off the table permanently. Real questions, though. Is EE actually good in Delver? Like, you will have all your own 0, 1s, and 2s. That blowing up would be bad. Like, obviously, it was great in this exact scenario. But more generally, the card seems, like, very slow, very mana-intensive. So I don't know about it. That is exactly where they would say that. They have the Thoughtseize to take it. Oh, they have the big fish. Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So my opponent is just presenting lethal. That's scary. I don't know that I'm going to get out of this one. If my opponent doesn't have another removal spell, I have outs. If they have a removal spell, I probably can't beat them. Hate 50 eggs, thank you very much for following. Also, does my opponent just have me dead if they just attack and bolt me? I didn't do the math for that yet. So I block Angler, bounce, block Pyromancer. No, as long as I block Angler, I'm fine. So I need to leave one creature in play and leave myself the out of drawing Sword of Fire and Ice for turn. Or Stoneforge. Both work. Can I do that, though? Not anymore. Now they just get both of my creatures this turn and have lethal. That's unfortunate. I think I could have beat damn near anything except for EE. I'm not gonna like revoke EE or anything like that, but it is what it is. It's good to be aware of that for the next game. That's a mulligan. That's no white mana. This is a keep. I really wish one of these was Swords to Plowshares. I'm gonna top that. And this may be a game where I delay everything in order to play around days. If they play out a threat this turn, I just like Sunlance it and play Mom. But otherwise, I think I just play Plains Mom next turn. I don't think it's correct to name 3. Because I have Sword of Fire and Ice, which is often an amazing late game card. And I think playing around their presumably one of K command is actively bad. I think it's much better to put a second 1/1, and that plays around like 2 or 3 drop removal, unlocking their 1-drops. Like if they draw 1 Abrade, 1 K command, like that's all fine. Yeah, your Delver's fine. Does mean I'm probably not playing Thalia around days, which is fine since I drew a second. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, Prelate doesn't work well against EE because as like you move to the late game and you flood out, you do things. Well, what you got? Oh, come on, wasteland me. I'm totally fine with that. A braid. That's fine. There isn't a Brave that my line I took last game played around. So that's cool. So the thing about D&T is that it best attacks an established meta, and we're currently in flux. So, hard to say. Like D&T is very, very bad against Ren and 6 in particular from the new set. So like if 4-color loam picks up in popularity, that's not good for us. Like I played against D&T as 4-color loam yesterday, and I curved Ren and 6 into Lily Last Hope, and it's just like, what are you supposed to do? Like how do you beat that? You don't really. Alright, hopefully this Sunlance resolved. They paused for a long time on my Thalia, which might mean that they have Force of Will. F. Alright, so we lost this game. That's how this deck works. Like, you let this go for a single turn, and the game's basically over. So, like, this gets Chain Lightninged, then Bolt is around for the next card I play out. Thoughtseize is around for anything that I hold in my hand or can't cast. So I need a Prelate, or a Rest in Peace, or a removal spell, like, now. Oh, this is gonna be cute. So I can either, like, eat their Wasteland, or I can make them try to blow Thoughtseize on Tomek. I think I'm going to try to make them blow a Thoughtseize on Tomek. I basically don't play Modern, but I imagine that the big shakeup that they're getting is going to really do cool things to the format. Alright, they're just targeting Ponder. That's fine. I'm just going to let that happen. I'm going to take one rather than, like, flash this in and let them know that it's coming. I've heard that Hogoak, however that's pronounced, is very stupid in Modern. Don't true name me. I said don't true name me. You can't true name me. It's the law. There's a possibility that I'm not even supposed to put this in here, and I'm just supposed to hold it. But I think setting myself up for potential Flicker Wisp off the top shenanigans is better. So incredibly punished for taking up that vial. Actually, I may live in a world where this works out. It involves them having nothing, though, so we'll see about that. So here's the thing. If they don't have a removal spell in hand, they're incentivized to attack with this. Thoughtseize my sword out, and I can potentially double block here and take this off the table. They have a removal spell. Sad times. Because now they just get the Thoughtseize on the sword. So Echo, were you the one who was asking about whether or not this card was good or how impactful it was? This is a great example of it. Well, that's certainly not a bad draw. I don't know that it's going to be good enough. This thing's a house. Like, if they have one more piece of removal, this Batterskull is just going to get stranded in my hand. Like, they get a free Lightning Bolt on one of these. So then, Thoughtseize or Bolt, Ponder. Are they just going to, like, ponder and look for discard rather than try to answer both of these? I can see that. Don't have discard, don't have discard, don't have discard. Um, that's maybe okay. This I'll hold because of the Wasteland, so I can potentially play a 3-drop later. And am I attacking with one Stoneforge Mystic? I think I am. So we'll see what my opponent does. The best case scenarios for me all involve my opponent being bad. It's fucking EE, man. It's not like I can play around it either. I just, like, have to put the Batterskull out into it. Like beatable, yes. Likely, no. Like the tempo swing that they pick up here by just blowing this for 0 and getting rid of my germ is so huge. I don't know. I imagine that we're seeing the absolute like ceiling on how good EE can be right now. So I need to leave one Stoneforge back. No, I need to leave both Stoneforges back. And maybe draw Flicker Wisp too. Yeah, I think we're at like the 90+% dead threshold. Arcanist not attacking and bolting me is real nice. Alright. The second true name meant I couldn't even like top deck a Jitte to like gain some life and like pray. Absolutely brutal there. Opponent's EE single-handedly won them that match. Like, it got them 2 games. It would have been very, very difficult otherwise. They probably could have wiggled out of this one without EE. But game 2, or... Yeah, game 2, like, unquestionably, I don't think I could have been beaten without very specifically EE. Or some other weird sweeper like Toxic Deluge. It's a little bit of a frustrating start to a league. Especially since I think we're like so good against Delver with this build. But it is what it is. Hope your work day's starting off fine. It's a nice little fill distraction. As a side note, super excited for next week. I got a donation for like the Rug Rhino deck that's been going around. So I'm super stoked for that. If you're not willing to keep hands like this, why are you playing D&D? I used to pitch these hands more frequently, but the upside of like the Vial resolving on turn 1 is so incredibly high. What do you mean so punished? They didn't force. And I'm gonna get to like wasteland their land. Turn 1 on the play Brainstorm. Okay, that makes more sense now. It could still be Sneak and not Storm. I think it's very close between whether or not I'm supposed to just port that land or whether I'm supposed to waste that land. I didn't want to give them the opportunity to upkeep Brainstorm. Because if they're Storm and they were aggressively, like, using a turn 1 Brainstorm, they might be really close to going off, so giving them another opportunity to Brainstorm might push them over the edge of going off this turn. We don't know which deck this is yet. Still very easily could be either. Or some entirely different bad combo deck. Let's not rule out that possibility. Regardless, we're going to use Mom's secret mode of attack for 1. Playing out Double Petal is also something that Ant would do. Well, I should say it's something that a good Ant player would do. Fred, you're not thinking about Thalia. So, like, Ant against D&T wants to play out the 0-mana artifacts before Thalia hits the board, so they're not taxed. Here's the super hot play of the day. I'm a Flicker Wisp, your Lotus Petal. Definitely not feeling good about our odds. Alright, so we're playing against Sneak. Show and tell me? Okay. Sneak attack and put in Grizzlebrand rather than Emrakul. Grizzlebrand? Fuck. I'm not dead yet. Yep, $12 bribe to get me to play whatever on stream. You get your pedal back, friend. So we do have triple prelate for this matchup, which is nice. Hey, we drew one. Isn't that grand? We're dead to any duder. Like, we're not technically dead, which is why I Swords to Plowshared my Flicker Wisp in the first place, but our opponent gets 14 more cards, and I have nothing. Or they get 7 more cards. Yeah, they've already got another creature, so they don't have to draw. Just end it. Just end it. My combat step. There's nothing to do. Alright, well, we tried. You don't need to show me the you have all these when you've, like, clearly Emrakul'd me, attacked, and drawn a bunch of cards already. Alright. Chalice is good. Council's Judgment is fine. Disenchant is probably fine. The thing about this matchup is, like, we have a lot of, maybe not dead, but relatively weak cards. This is a matchup where not having Path is relevant, because, like, Path is better than Swords to Plowshares against a Grizzlebrand by a very, very, very noticeable margin. So I don't like Jitte. Oh, is there no Walking Ballista in this deck? I thought there was a Walking Ballista in this deck. Nope. There's not. Okay. So that's one of the things that I usually cut first in Smash. So, like, Jitte's terrible. Stoneforge itself is kind of medium. Mom's kind of medium, especially when I'm also bringing in Chalices, and, like, Swords of Plowshare is also kind of bad. I usually leave in a couple to hedge against whatever the blue Arcanist is called, that lets you, like, fake show and tell and make a token. To hedge against that guy. Actually, in this build, Mom has a little bit more utility, because, like, Mom plus Tomic gives you a way to stonewall the Grizzlebrand. That's pretty okay. I'll still probably trim one. Yeah, this looks good. I would like to play first. And Maximilian, thank you very much for following. I hope you're enjoying the content. This is a great example of a hand that has a good balance of lands and spells, but does nothing. Mulligan. This is a weak hand. I have to keep it, but I'm really not happy about it. I don't think this is a strong enough hand to win, but I have to hope that the cards that I get from the top of the library can support this Thalia enough. So for example, if I rip a Sanctum Prelate off the top and put that on 3, this matchup all of a sudden swings very, very much in my direction. That's great. Wouldn't be surprised to see our opponent fire off a Brainstorm in response. They didn't have Artifact mana to play out turn 1. So that's good. Also of note, this build didn't have Leonin Relic Order. It has Disenchants instead. So I don't get like a 2-rollable something that I can put in to stop like a show and tell for omniscience. That's a good draw. That's a good draw. So this is going to get me Prelate. I might just fold to Soul Land Show and Tell this turn. Soul Land Show and Tell Omni would beat me. Or I guess Show and Tell Soul Land Omni Emrakul specifically. 4-card sequence. Brainstorm. Deal. Deal, 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 deal. Now this is going to get into the territory of, unless my opponent has something like a Pyroclasm, I'm in great shape. I think it's time to show that. Alright, they're just done there. That tells me they probably do not have Pyroclasm. So if they had Pyroclasm, they'd play towards that further. So it's very good information for me. And them not having access to Pyroclasm does make Mom slightly worse. But again, we've got a lot of medium cards in the deck currently, so... Do I want to lean towards 2 Mom, 3 Swords to Plowshares instead? I don't think so. I think I'm going to run this back. Meh. So this hand uncounterably invalidates Grizzlebrand and can answer a Show and Tell to Omni that does not Emrakul. This hand needs Thalia or Prelate to really be viable. Is this good enough? So I have 7 out of 53 draws that make this into a stellar hand. 9 draws that make it into a good hand. 11, 12, 13-ish draws. Maybe 14, 15, 16 draws total that make this fine. This is a hand I think that can go either way, keep or mull. But I think there's upside to keeping this one on 7. This hand does not have the potential to beat their best draws, but it can be fine against some of their worst draws. If I didn't have the port, it would probably go back 100% of the time. So we are on D&T today. So it's not too janky. I think this is just play Tomic and start to pressure the life total, rather than play out the Vial, as good as Vial is. Why are you brainstorming in response to Tomic? Did you just get bored? That was a very speedy brainstorm. Where are you getting that volcanic island? I don't care that you're getting that volcanic island. Are you just trying to get me not to attack in fear of removal? You didn't play towards removal last game, so I don't think you have it. So, like, I'm getting in there. Yeah, if you click the Cardboard Live extension, you can see what I'm trying out. There's a sort of Truth and Justice in the sideboard, and we're trying out Daryl Ayers' build. I see. So this is playing these out because you lack non-basics. I get it. So we get a Valk here. Note before anyone asks, this cavern's on human, so I can't both Wasteland and play Flicker Wisp. Am I holding up Disenchant or am I playing Vial? My opponent goes... I don't think they have Show and Tell yet. So I think I'm going to take this opportunity to play Vial. So glad to see that gone here, rather than on my Disenchant. Although, why do you have Spell Pierce versus D&T in the first place? Oh man. Oh man! Disenchant gonna get you! No, this is blue-red sneak attack. Blue-red show and tell. I forgot to play out my vial. We'll pretend it was a bluff. There's a lot of text on all of these cards. So we have them dead to board next turn. I'll spell pierce this. You got another one of those in your deck instead of some cards good. So the meme stream will happen tomorrow night. So tomorrow night I'm going to test a whole bunch of bad cards in D&T simultaneously, and we're going to play bingo with all the bad cards. It's going to be really fun. I'm really looking forward to that stream. Yeah, so today's real D&T stream, then tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time will be the bingo meme stream. Let me see if I still have, like, the preview of it up. Yeah, I do. So there's going to be a lot of things like this, where, like, we're playing terrible cards. Ooh. Well, I guess I can show the entire board, because it just happened. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to enjoy it. I might be, you know, kind of miserable in some ways, but I think it'll be fun as a whole. No, it's really cool. I actually found, like, a little website that lets, like, that's gonna let you all, like, download the bingo board and, like, randomize it for you specifically. So you'll get to play along. Yeah, Mom here as a draw, like curving Mom into Thalia into Prelate is very strong. Where did my Moto sounds go again, by the way? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Don't force me. All right, everything's fine. Crisis averted. Everything is okay, people. So remember where I said that thing about crisis being averted? I don't know if that's actually true anymore. I need to think about this for a second. If I play Sanctum Prelate, I lose 3 outs to Delver. It's a big deal. 3 Whisks, 2 Tomics to trade. Stoneforge Mystic to outpace them, unless they blind flip this turn, in which case Stoneforge will probably be too slow. Ugh. I'm doing this. It doesn't feel good. But I think the worlds in which I win involve them not flipping the Delvers this turn, and preferably next turn either. Nice. Nice. Holy shit. Deck, you so good to me today. Like, my top decks this game have been Mom, Swords to Plowshares, and Jitte in the perfect order. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! We did it, chat! We did it! Alright. So let's board the same way as before, trying the experimental plan of Rest in Peace. So let's go these 6 in for Revoker's out, Jailer out, Recruiter out, 1 Wisp out. Is Jitte good? Unclear. We'll have to try again. Actually, Needle, I'll be keeping this hand. This hand's pretty strong. We ran into Grixis Delver earlier that was main decking K-Command. And a Braid is not an uncommon one of in the main deck either. It was top with Preordain. Alright. Do I like wasting... Arcanist hitting plays very bad for me. Yeah, we lost that K-Command. Well, actually, technically, we beat the K-Command, and then we lost to their engineered explosives. Twice. So I'm really just hoping to draw lands. Top again with the Preordain. I really wanted to draw basic planes there, but I really can't complain given how well I drew off the top last game. Yeah, this guy's so obnoxious. Alright. So they actually don't have a removal spell in Graveyard yet. So let's swing for the fences. Everything beats this, by the way. I'm going to take the Batterskull and make them remove this or discard me. So, like, removal beats this, discard beats this, Dazer Force would have beaten this. But, like, Let's make them do it. They could have a handful of, like, 5 Arcanists or something. So now we're just hoping not to get Wastelanded this turn, so that I can play Prelate on 1. Yes, Thalia does tax those spells. Ooh. So I think this changes what I'm going to do with my turn. Because I want to use this Source of Plowshares before I play Prelate. I'm thinking about what I want to remove. I think it's still this, but it's close. This loses a lot of power once this is in play. But if anything goes wrong, or like I get wasted and this doesn't stick, I just like can't leave that on the table. And then, assuming the game goes longer, I have Council's Judgment to clean up a Flip Delver eventually. I kind of think they're going to have True Name this turn, though, just like based on how the last couple of turns have played out. So I think my Council's Judgment is going to have to hit that. Nope, an Edict. Super happy to play Prelate on this board, by the way. Still doing it. They've shown me Edict. They presumably have a couple of Abrades or other things in there as well. Prelate is indeed so awkward. This build is leaning into the awkwardness harder than like any other build I've ever played. This is on human, so that doesn't work, Needle. Yeah. This is obligatory. Play around the days I know they have. Morning, Extortion. Hope all is well. We are in game 2 versus Grixis Delver, and we are up a game. There's some awkwardness of my current position, but it's a good spot as a whole. I am indeed a powerful wizard. That's why I top decked so well last game. What am I discarding? My hand's so good. I think it's Flicker Wisp. I think I Swords to Plowshares the Delver, then play Prelate on an empty board, and have Batter Skull. Well, the Batter Skull's really bad against the days that I know they have, actually. Yeah, let's dump this. Like, I need 2 more lands and them not to have Wasteland in order for me to get a lot of value out of the Batter Skull. There's one of said lands. This has got to feel pretty obnoxious from the other side to just throw that out there. Like, yes, I got one of my outs to the Prelate. I can cast my spells again. Oh. They cast their spell that was stuck and then shut me off again. This is an interesting build. There's a lot of power that's coming at the cost of some tension. Yeah, that card does not do a lot on this board. I was more afraid of something like a True Name hitting play. Just blink a land out. And it is worth it to play out this Caracas here. Now I get to double port them. I think I'll be taking them off of black for Gurmag Angler reasons. I'm not, like, super stoked to attack with a Flicker Wisp here, because I don't really want to take points of damage from the Delver if it flips. But given that they can't cantrip to set this up, I think it's correct to hit in the first time. Alright, they have flipped through to an uncastable Thoughtseize. So we trade 3 damage back and forth, which favors them. And I'll be holding back my Wisp in future turns until I draw something like a Stoneforge and just, like, break this game wide open. Skilled Magician. Pro player confirmed. I will pay for days. Both pieces of equipment are insanely good here. Either way, I am not going to cast one of them this turn. I'm going to wait that out one turn and do it uncounterably via Stoneforge. That day's play there might have been to put whatever piece of equipment I play into Spell Pierce range. I think it's going to be Sword of Fire and Ice. I also may have read that situation wrong. That also might be them putting a black into their hand to deploy a Gurmag Angler. So given that situation, I'm going to switch to porting down their red so that my piece of equipment can't be abraded the turn that I deploy it. I can't really beat the Angler currently without like Flicker Wisp equip and trading like this. Maybe I'm supposed to take this. It's weird. If I want to connect with the sword, I have to put on Flicker Wisp or draw an answer to Gurmag Angler. So I can take 3 to kill the Delver and draw a card, which I think I have to do. And then just like intend on chump blocking the Gurmag Angler for 3 turns with whatever I draw. If I don't draw a creature, it prices me into hard casting the sword, which is super punished by Force of Will. Alright, they don't have it. That's great. Ooh. This is actually pretty good, too. I'm thinking about 1 or 3. 1 for redundancy, 3 to shut off another K command or Lily Last Hope. I think I'm going to select 3. Alright. I again think that's a little bit of an early concession. There's the possibility of wiggling out of that, like if I run out of chump blockers. Well, I guess not. I guess if I just like choose to like 7 them 2 turns in a row, they're just like dead to board. So I guess that's a fine point to concede. All right, Chad, I'm going to take 30 seconds to run to the restroom real quick. I will be right back. Oh, wait. Be right back screen. All right, I'm back. Let's get back into it. Yeah, the thing about 2, though, is that I still have Jitte in my deck to draw towards, and I don't have any 3s to draw towards other than Council's Judgment, and I think I already used one of those that game. Like, 2 versus 3 is essentially a wash. It's possible that 2 is better there. Like, I got the previous time around by, like, an EE. Lily Last Hope wouldn't have been, like, devastating on that board, given that most of my stuff had 2 toughness. This hand looks solid. Got So I've got potentially 3 uncounterable cards. Opponent has taken a mulligan. Cavern hasn't always been upside today, but it's largely looked good. We've been playing against a lot of blue decks. This is probably going to end up being Rug Delver. Maybe Rug Rhinos. Windswept Heath. That doesn't change how I play this. The first couple of turns. Windswept Heath doesn't get Volcanic Island. So this might be like Bug or Bant instead. Infect. Infect with no turn 1, 2, or 3 plays. This is, like, insane for me, right? It took me a second to think through this, but this is a land, right? So even when they turn it into a creature, it just gets wrecked. They have a 1/1. God, are they going to realize that? I don't think they're going to realize that. Yeah, my next turn is going to be stupid. Because I'm going to get, like... I'm going to have so many options. I can go, like, Swords to Plowshares and Stoneforge Mystic. I can go Stoneforge and Port. I can just go Palace Jailer uncounterably. Like, it's going to be a good time for me. Oh god, just animate the Nexus and come in at me. Do it. So Tomic, secretly a hate card for Infect, apparently. Alright, so you say that, but, like, it's happening right now. I will block. El Lobo is about to get a smiley face in chat. The obnoxious blue text on literally all of his cards didn't tip him off. Indeed. There's the oops. Oh, yeah. Now I'm just, like, running free on this game. Sadness has indeed resolved. You want to do a pre-combat Stoneforge Mystic, just kind of gain information about what's happening here. What am I going to get? Could be any... Oh, it's... I clicked on Jitsi. I guess we're taking that. And again, they can crop rotation for Inkmoth Nexus, but Tomic makes it so that they can't pump it. Gonna Wannabe, thank you very much for following. I hope you are enjoying the content. I'm having fun here. Ooh! Berserk the Thalia. That's fine. Rough life, opponent. Rough life. Put in Jitte. Equip Jitte. Do you have Stifle? Nope, but Vines accomplishes the same thing. I don't know what my poor opponent is supposed to do. Like, if they tap out for a creature, I just get to uncounterable Palace Jailer it with Swords of Plowshares backup, then equip Jitte and get in there. And I'm going to put this on Stoneforge now. That way Tomic doesn't get berserked necessarily. The creature over here that has my sword might instead. Double port? I don't think I need to double port. Like, how do I possibly lose this game? So 5-6 on board. This could make it 7-8. This could make it very lethal. I don't think porting actually accomplishes anything. So, like, what does double port stop that matters? Like, I guess it stops Green Sun for Viridian Corruptor. Alright. No, Sunlance, way worse than Path in this matchup. Council Judgment is fine. Chalice of the Void is questionable. I probably won't board that. Disenchant hits Nexus and Sylvan Library. Gun, I think it is a real sideboard addition. We've been playing against Delver all day, though, or Delver-like decks. So, like, I haven't boarded it in at all this stream. So, historically versus Infect, I've trimmed, like, Revokers and Thalias. Thalia because you can't afford to, like, trip over your own swords and Sunlances. Well, Chalice on 1 shuts off all your removal, and that's really scary in this matchup. Like, Prelate has a body attached to it and can be set on other numbers to stop things like Invigorate, so, like, it's better there. Bahra, thank you very much for the raid. I caught a little bit of your stream this morning, and it looked like a lot of fun. So I'm going to go Thalia's out for Sunlance and Council's Judgment in, and then, like, the next question is, like, do I want to leave Revoker for Noble Hierarch, or do I want Disenchants for the lands? Batterskull's also really bad. I could actually go Batterskull out and bring 1 Disenchant in, not play the second. Let's go with that. Yikes. Soul Herder and Unsettled Mariner. Unsettled Mariner is unplayable in my mind. Soul Herder probably falls into the category of, like, it's really cute, but isn't actually good. Reluctant keep. So like Soul Herder can do really stupid things with Flicker Wisp Recruiter, Stoneforge Mystic, and even some other like fringe playable things like like Restoration Angel. This is a devastating Daze or Piercer Force, by the way. Oh, thank God. Now my hand's just bad instead of unplayable. So I looked at Soul Herder, and like I definitely would consider trying out a blue-white build that had that for funsies. Alright, there's the library I brought in the Disenchant for, so that's cool. Less cool is the fact that I can't cast the Disenchant, but like we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I'm actually super happy with the second Vile draw. This game looks like it has the potential to go long. I do think it's unplayable. Like, we have a lot of similar cards like that, right? Like, there was the weird pseudo-Thalia effect that, like, only worked on your turn that was sort of like that. And I think the less objectively good, or the less universal taxing effects aren't nearly as good as the universal ones. Is it way worse? It's certainly worse. I should have put Mom in response to that fetch, so I didn't get Krosan gripped, by the way. I didn't play around that properly. Please no deed, as in pernicious deed, you monster. Don't even suggest that, HC Fox. Ugh. I'm slightly worried about my Vylon 2 getting K gripped. So I kind of just want to put in a Stoneforge right now. Like, I'm just thinking about what that main phase fetch means, and it feels like it has to mean K grip. If I just like pass the turn with Vylon 2 up and they K grip me, I feel super bad about it. Justin, thank you very much for subscribing. Thank you for throwing your Twitch Prime this way this month. I really appreciate it. Now, if they have K grip, I tell them essentially that they need to save it for Jete. But that's fine since I have another Stoneforge. And if like we make it to the point where I have these vials on 3, I'm in good shape. Penguin, I don't remember which time zone you're in, but I also will be streaming tomorrow night as well, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, for Bad D&T Bingo. It's going to be a fun one. That's a funky looking forest. Yes, our opponent is infect. All right, a lot of options. I think my plan is Flicker Wisp out the Blighted Agent and put in Jitte. And put in another Stoneforge. Don't forget about Mom's hidden mode, chat. Don't forget about Mom's hidden mode. Especially since like it takes them down to a point where they can't like potentially draw more cards with library. Yeah, it's actually D&T time. Should I get some tea for my D&T time? I'll show myself out. Of course there's a teacup emote. If my opponent responds with a protection spell, I'm going to float white real quick, sit there for a minute and think about it, and then untap my land and let it go. I want to incentivize them not to go for the all-in attack here. They might have to anyway, but I can't beat it. Scale up. Resolves. Wah, 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 wah. Bow. I think I'm going to flip-flop those now that I'm on the play. It's a little more reasonable to take a turn off to disenchant when you can like play out your vial first and like have more tempo. Yeah, Walking Ballista as a tutor target is real hot in this matchup. It is great information to know that my opponent has scale up, though. Blighted Agent is unblockable. I don't know that I can keep this hand. It beats a library draw. It beats a Nexus draw. Beats a Glistener Elf draw. Well, beats is a strong word for those, but you know, is competitive against. But I'm just like stone cold dead to a Blighted Agent draw, which are like the draws that they want to be keeping. Super reluctant keep here. I don't remember when I started the summer sub goal. It's probably very tail end of May. Since they played Hierarch, Wastelanding them loses a lot of value. We're just going to hold up Disenchant and attack. Arcadianeer, thank you very much for the Twitch Prime sub. Thank you for throwing your money this way this month. I really do appreciate it. It's keeping the channel thriving, producing more legacy content than ever. Just like ponder in a library. Let me tag that and use my mana this turn. I don't fear an immediate death or anything. But I may end up doing something kind of weird, like wastelanding a Nexus, trying to get them to animate it in response, use a protection spell on it, and then disenchanting the Nexus. Oh? Oh, really? You're summoning sick. Okay. That worked out well for me, chat. That worked out very well for me. I hope you're not streaming this. Bad news, friend. Oh no. Do I want to use Mom's hidden mode of attack? You know, honestly, I think I'm just going to hold Mom back. Like, Mom holding back Noble Hierarch beats over time may become relevant. So Berserk is the big thing that will beat me on current board. I wish I had a ballista to tutor for, very specifically this turn. If I prelate on 1, it's disastrous if they find Blighted Agent. If I prelate on 3, I can still lose to Berserk. I don't think this is recruiter time yet. If I recruiter get Stoneforge, next turn I Stoneforge, the following turn I Jitte. It's very possible that's just too slow. So I think what I need to do is set this on 1 and try to stop them cantripping towards Blighted Agent. That should give me the time to recruiter for Stoneforge Mystic. No, Sword Equip. I don't think they have Blighted Agent in hand. I'm worried about it off the top of the deck. So Inkmoth Nexus can attack as a 3/3. So I want Flicker Wisp in play to be able to trade with that. And note, I don't want to attack with Prelate. Well, no, I don't want to attack with Prelate. I don't want to, like, get into this weird situation where they, like, block with a Hierarch, invigorate, I have to protect with Mom, and then I'm, like, exposed to the Glistener Elf attacking in. So I think just Tomik coming in is fine. This will go on Elemental. No, Berserk is what I'm afraid of on the current board. Yeah, I should have held up Plains. Yes, I know Berserk costs 1, but I'm saying if I attack in with the Prelate and they invigorate, I'm forced to protect my Sanctum Prelate. No, I'm worried like 3 steps ahead. It can still be activated, but it can't be like pumped or protected. So the only way it gets bigger is via Noble Hierarchs. That's what I'm afraid of. Wish I had Walking Ballista. Oh, baby. Oh, deck, you so good to me. Get out. Get out. That is called good deck building. That is correct. We also would have accepted the answer of skilled magician there. That would have been fine. I don't have a ballista. If I had a ballista, this game would be so over. Is it correct for me to make any attacks in this turn? Probably not, because I could die to double Ink Moth. I could die to double Ink Moth attack, triple Invigorate. Or no. Yeah, that would do it. I think no attacks is fine, though. Yeah, Peaceful Ninja, you can take a look at the Cardboard Live extension. It should be on the left-hand side of your screen if you want to see the full deck list. But there's, I believe, 2 Tomics in the main deck. Alright, yeah, they can Invigorate. I should have attacked with Tomic there. My bad. I was thinking about too many other things. Joxmar8, thank you very much for throwing your Twitch Prime money this way this month. I really appreciate it. Praise be to Thalia. Enjoy your sweet emote. Boop, boop, boop. How do I want to do this? I think I equipped a Tomic. If Tomic gets berserked, I would protect it. And then that leaves Flickerwisp back to trade with a Nexus. Oh, 12 months! I missed that. Congrats, you've been around here for a year. Thank you so much for the support. Alright, I don't even need to play around Berserk. Yeah, so regardless, equipping a Tomic is correct. And my little 1/1 recruiter friend can crash in as well. Can't re-equip? What do you mean? I mean, I can't re-equip this turn, but I could in a following turn. Carson grip me. Return to nature. Destroy target artifact, destroy target enchantment, or exile target card from a graveyard. I forgot to attack with my recruiter. I was just so excited. I gotta tighten up. Like, I'm really, really, really far ahead, but that doesn't give me an excuse to, like, mess up like this. I've missed 3 points of damage. That is correct, Sword Equip. Sylvan Library is an okay draw. It's essentially a weird ponder at this stage. That's nice backup for if something goes wrong. Am I holding back Flicker Wisp still? I think so. OMG, I was sure the title was a clickbait. I'm gladly surprised. I'm not too big on the clickbaity titles. Try to make the titles interesting, but it's not gonna be any of the "you won't believe what sideboard card number 7 is" sort of thing. I think that's ridiculous. Tomorrow night's title will be ridiculous, because we're going to play D&T Bingo tomorrow night. Specifically bad D&T Bingo. What is my 7th sideboard card? 2, 4, 6, 7. It's the first copy of Rest in Peace. OMG, Rest in Peace. I vaguely remember some title like Best Deck in Legacy regarding Painter. I think when I got the donation for that, like, someone called it unquestionably the best deck in Legacy, so I rolled with it. I forget if that was Painter or Bomberman. Might have been Bomberman. I did think Bomberman was, like, the best deck in Legacy for a little while. Hey, I've played Core Firewalker plenty of times. The best deck in Legacy is now Yogg-Fit, of course. If anyone's not following Bahra, by the way, highly encourage it. He's been playing around with a really cool... what's the name of the black card that deck's built around? Thran? It's Yawgmoth. Yawgmoth, that's who it was. Yeah, so the new Yawgmoth that lets you sacrifice creatures to, like, draw a card and put a -1 counter somewhere or something like that. Works really well with the Veteran Explorer package. Okay. Do I even block? This is just 2 infect and I have 0. Is this just a bait to get me to block with a Flicker Wisp? Because I have 5 in the air if I don't block. Like, they can't pump this. Overloading Scale Up costs infinite mana. The only thing I can lose to is, like, wipe away. Yeah, you got it. I accept this hit. If my opponent fetches with that Windswept Thief, though, I'm giving Sanctum Prelate pro blue. Alright, now is there literally anything that I can lose to? I have 5 damage in the air. I have Crop Rotation for Nexus block covered. I don't know what beats me. Alright, there we go. And we're 3-1. Yeah, this hand's great. We get turn 1 Vial, turn 2 Uncounterable Thalia, unless something goes wrong. Force, pitch, Jace, so we're probably looking at either Grixis Control or Miracles. Better chance of Grixis Control with opening on Scalding Tarn, now that Prismatic Vista is legal, but I'm not going to read too much into that currently. Oh, good game. You did the best you could with very difficult circumstances. I put up a heck of a prison. You had a couple of small misplays that were super punishing. Like getting the Nexus disenchanted, for example. But it was really weird to play around Tomic on the other side of the table, I'm sure. Yeah, so about an hour after the stream is done, the video will be up on YouTube if you want to check out the replay. I made some mistakes myself that game. Yeah, clear downside of Cavern here. Quite obvious. This is why I don't normally play with this card. Yeah, tapping the plains was a bluff. This is what happens every time that I play Cavern. But at the same time, like, Cavern has also been really good today. So, like, Just because I'm seeing some negative sides of it doesn't mean that it's bad. Also, F your lands. Play around Gurmag, play around Cantrip. Play around Gurmag, play around Cantrip. Play around Cantrip. Zardian, yes I do. Ren in 6 is absolutely insane. That is a format-changing card. That's the big one from the new set. Although there's a lot of small things seeing play. The Rhino card is seeing play. Ice Fang Coatl's seeing play. Shenanigans. Force Pitch, Baleful Strix. That's fine. You can type !card in chat to see what something is. So, for example, I think it's !card, Swords to Plowshares. I think it's like that. No, man, I've made way worse mistakes than that. Why on earth did you counter my Aether Vial pitching K, like, if you have K command? Like, that would have just been an easy, like, kill Thalia, junk a sword, like, junk a Vial. Is that just your natural draw for turn, I guess? It also could have been the land that they top deck, to be fair. I get to keep off one of Jace or Lily. Let's keep off Jace. Zardian, I was the one who did the set review. It is available on my YouTube channel. This Cavern feeling so bad this game. Also feeling bad is our opponent having access to 6 lands. Usually, like, Wastelanding 2 plus Thalia. Is usually good enough. Don't Jace me. Don't do it. That's fine. That's not Jace. It's just very good. Ponder's fine. Ugh. So now I can't take off black, black, black. Or I can't take off double black or double blue. Since I know they have a Ponder. Well, I guess I should attack black and blue simultaneously. Alright, so they have a Force of Will. I can still probably claw myself back into this with a Plains within 2 turns. Alright. At least I get to, like, cast a card now. Oh God. Why do they have that? Why do they have that? So I'm taking 6 damage next turn, assuming they lightning bolt me. They have a force of will. I'm gonna go ahead and throw in the towel there. So I think these are easy ins. Rip is a questionable in. So normally I cut a Revoker. I usually cut all my Swords to Plowshares. I might need to leave 1 or 2 in since they're playing Arcanist. I usually trim or cut Moms as well to end up with something that looks like this. Since I'm bringing in another sword, I can probably afford to cut Jete. Leaves me still with 3 pieces of equipment for when the game goes long and stuff gets blown up. Is this enough hate for Arcanist? So like I have this, Chalice on 1, Prelate on 1. Keeping Swords to Plowshares is so bad in the matchup against not that card or Gurmag Angler. Like, those are the only 2 situations where I would want a Swords to Plowshare, basically. And the situations where, like, you Jailer and then they play a threat and you have the swords at the same time are pretty rare. You cut Tomic, leave in Mom and Jete. Tomic is pretty bad against Baleful Strix. I'll buy that. This build has a lot of medium cards versus Grixis control. Tomic's legendary status is interesting with Karakas. Maybe when I want to play Mom's fine. I think I'll do that on the play. And then on the draw, I'll switch things around. I begrudgingly leave 1 Revoker in. Keep this. I get to start on 1 or 2 Moms, and I might get the opening of play Mom, it gets bolted, I waste and play another Mom. Versus Control is just a really hard matchup. Like, we have a decent sideboard suite for it, but game 1s are really hard to steal. And then games 2 and 3, they can have some really weird Haymaker hate cards that are hard to beat. X Lethal, thank you very much for following. I hope you're enjoying the content. All right, yeah, exactly what I talked about. And note, you pretty much always want to disrupt this deck's mana when you have the opportunity to do so, because they don't really function fully until they're on about 4 mana. And they really want to preferably keep hitting land drops after that, because they have things like Snapcaster, K-Command as follow-ups. Welcome. This is good. This is real good. So this one's not uncounterable. Sword of Fire and Ice is better. As much as I want to get that Sword of Truth and Justice out of my deck and, like, throw it into play and just, like, on stream, beat someone to death with a Mother of Runes that's like a 10/10, or I guess a 9/9. Sword of Fire and Ice is our first get here. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And Slyanka, thank you very much for subscribing. I really do appreciate the support. Seen a lot of D&T love today. I will be back with more D&T tomorrow. Arcanist. What a jerk. I forgot you were actually capable of streaming D&T. So as much as I want to put this on 3 in the matchup, with this in play, I think it is correct to put it on 1. Too many things can go wrong if I just let this, like, lightning bolt in this next turn cycle. Narset's fine. I can take that off the table this turn. What did you get? You got a Brainstorm. That's fine. It's not a card currently. Ooh! Ooh! I don't need the Chalice on 1 when I already have the Prelate on 1 currently. Let's just kill the Narset this turn. It means so that if the sword sticks around next turn, I can actually draw a card with it. Feeling real great about my position, by the way. Like, we have those guys in check. Ooh, am I Jailerin? Am I Jailerin? Seems like yes, but it also seems like the sort of thing that can wait until post-combat to figure out. Because I'm going to draw another card. A Wisp. The punish to Jailer involves, like, so many cards. It involves, like, multiple 2-mana removal spells. That is a respectable draw. That means I get, like, Chalice plus Batterskull next turn. That was great. I enjoyed that. So when I'm on the draw, the moms lose a little bit of their potency. My opponent is also, like, really heavy on Arcanist. That might mean that I'm supposed to keep in a couple of these. even if I'm planning on, like, using Prelate and Chalice very proactively. So I have this many answers currently. I'm fine with Atomic coming out for a Swords In. My creature count is getting really low. $20. Do I want to do the Blasphemous Enevoldson thing and, like, trim a vial for another body? Or another Swords to Plowshares? Like, Wisp is medium, but I don't really think I can cut any more bodies. I mean, I basically cut vials in one matchup. It's Nick Fit, because they like give us acceleration, and they have Deed to sweep the board. Now, Enevoldson is, like, unquestionably one of the best Legacy players. I disagree with him on some things, but that doesn't mean he's wrong. My stance on Vial is that you basically always want to have it in the opening hand, and cutting any decreases the chance of that happening, so it decreases the chance of you getting your strongest starts. But his stance is more like, if you're cutting creatures for post-sideboard games, then your Vials do become slightly worse. So there's so much good stuff in Enevoldson's sideboard guide that he wrote out. But at the same time, I look at some of his strategies where he's like, yeah, just cut 2 vials, and I'm like, I don't know about that. This is a fine opener. We have Uncounterable Mom into Chalice. And we can even play the second Mom later through Chalice with our Cavern. Yeah, like, whenever... It's so rare for me to even cut 1 vial. And, like, to try to convince me to cut 2. Like, especially in, like, the black-red matchup, like, you often use your vials as, like, the card you use to clear the Chancellor trigger from the beginning of the game, so that you can, like, Surgical or Rest in Peace or resolve whatever actually matters. This is one of my favorite things to do, by the way. Like, resolving your own spells through Chalice just always feels so dirty. Don't K-command me. Yeah, they had it. You gotta try. If I YOLO Jailer this turn, and my opponent has Snapcaster, it's so bad for me. Because they just go like Snapcaster, follow-up removal spell. Can't be Fatal Push. So I think I have to go uncounterable Flicker Wisp this turn. And then play Jailer next turn. This is much better. This is so much better for me. I still think I attack double black rather than the open mana. I'll go Wasteland this. Jailer. Take this off the table. Yeah, I regret nothing. Oh man, are you gonna play a big fish and I'm just gonna like Council Judgment that off the table? So you have to have exactly blue card Force of Will left over? They did not have it. An end of turn Snapcaster plus like some removal spell is about the only way that I can lose this, I think. I think the first one will go on 1. Second one will go on 3. after I put this sword into play, preferably. And now I have a Swords to Plowshares. It's slightly awkward, but also slightly good. Like if something goes wrong in this Leaves play, it's quite nice. What the hell do I discard? I think it's Kata, but that's like one of the best cards in the matchup, so that's super weird. But I'm going to lose so many more resources than they are. I think it's Kata. This is just like such a good card to get me back if something goes wrong, though. You would ditch Prelate. I can see that, since like I have a 1 and 3 in hand that I actively want to cast. I think it's close between these two. I think I can get another body quickly enough where I can find something to put on this sword. Speaking of... This was exposed to a Forcible, but they didn't have one a turn or two ago. And if they force this at this point, like, I'm really far ahead. Hello and good luck, Mr. or Miss Opponent. Mono white card draw, confirmed best card draw. They have found a card. Enjoy my hand, opponent. It is quite strong. They have taken my Prelate. I'd like to draw a land. Chalice is good. Am I going to Chalice on one? Alright, they're just done with me. We take the 4-1. Feels good. Alright, let's do some critiquing of this deck list, though. So, strengths of the main deck. Fuck you, my deck is perfect. It did feel really good. I will fully admit to that. So the strength of the main deck is essentially that you've built your deck around Cavern of Souls, with 5 of your flex slots being high-impact humans for certain matchups. Kind of the downside is you lose a lot of the flexibility of your tutor package. So, for example, you lose out on the Walking Ballista, the Mirren Crusader, some of the other silver bullets that you might see. Another downside being that like you're more wastelandable, and it's harder to cast your Swords to Plowshares and like your Stoneforge Mystics and Flicker Wisps than in other builds. Yeah, Chalice is a... Yeah, let's move to the sideboard. So, like, I really like Chalice because it's a card that you can bring in for the control matchups while also being very impactful versus Storm. And Chalice is just like night and day better versus Storm than something like Canonist is. And like I think a lot of the overlap Canonist has had in other matchups over the years is just at a lower point than like Chalice right now. Dealing Fallen, watch it. This sword's great. We didn't put it into play today, unfortunately, so I didn't actually get to see it in action. So I do conceptually think Sword of Truth and Justice is good. I'm basically the only one on the internet who's like super hyped about this card. We fetched Sword of Fire and Ice over it the one opportunity we had to fetch it, but that's just because Sword of Fire and Ice is the best sword against Grixis control, not close. Against Miracles, you know, it's more of a question. Sunlance in the sideboard is questionable, but like it definitely has its upsides. So like it's way worse in the mirror versus Merit Lodge decks, worse versus like Eldrazi and Gurmag Anglers, but much better against the Blue-Red Delver deck as a whole, since you're never going to give them a land. You also lose out on the flexibility of it being an instant, which does matter as well. So Sunlance is 3 damage to target non-white creature at sorcery speed for 1 white mana. You don't like the art? Like it's obviously in homage to the art of this card. No, I don't think Displacer is really a viable flex slot at this time. Like, it has been in the past. So, for example, if, like, Reanimator and Infect are popular, and maybe Show and Tell as well, where your opponents are relying on large single threats, then Displacer has some value. I hate Spirit of the Labyrinth. I think that card is garbage. I don't like its stats in combat, and I think it is just an awkward lock piece. I also think there's just a little too much removal running around for that card to be good. Like, I like that card against combo decks and basically nothing else. It's fine against Miracles, too. But it's real medium versus Grixis control, since they have, like, Baleful Strix and Snapcaster Mages to clog up the board, and apparently Dreadhorde Arcanist now as well. So I'm basically lower on Spirit of Labyrinth than anyone. The card just, like, grows Tarmogoyf and dies. Those are the two things that it does. Yeah, otherwise pretty happy with this list. It's possible that, like, 2 disenchants should be, like, 1 disenchant, 1 Pithing Needle. I could see that split being good here. But there's a lot of Goyf running around. People are testing, like, bug and rug decks with new cards. So I've actually seen more Tarmogoyf in the last 2 or 3 days than I have in the last 3 months. Nah, in a mono white deck, like, we've had access to Horizon Canopy for years, so that doesn't actually change anything. The only thing that would change is if you're playing, like, say, a black-white build. There you can play, like, a black-white Canopy land. That's actually pretty good. There have been some people trying out a black-white D&T build with Bobs, Orzhov Pontiff, and Plague Engineer. That looked interesting. And there you could run the new land, whatever it's called. Mishra's Factory is not a card I've been too hot on, but blocking and killing Arcanist is real. It also, like, interestingly would dodge, like, a bolt out of the graveyard. So I don't hate that. Yeah, and if you want to go back to red-white for some reason, that's fine as well. Although I can't really imagine playing red-white D&T right now. Like, Blood Moon's not very good. And P and K feels kind of medium right now. Like, as always, good versus Miracles and Grixis control. But it feels slow against a lot of the other stuff in the format right now. And the 2 damage doesn't kill Arcanist. Yeah, so I played against Plague Engineer last night in draft when I was on a tribal slivers deck, and my opponent just put it on slivers, and I was sad. I've been on the wrong side of that card in Legacy a couple of times, where it's named like human or it named Merfolk or Rogue when I was playing True Names, and it's devastating. Plague Engineer is really, really good as a sideboard option, and I've actually seen some people playing it main deck as well. Strifo in his Strifo pile deck is trying one main deck, I think, and it wrecked me. Plague Engineer has Death Touch, does stop it, and it also shrinks it, so like it can't flashback ones. So like that is a thing that it does. All right. So tomorrow night, I am going to go and have a funsy stream where we're going to play bad D&T bingo. So here's what this is going to look like. I'm going to play a deck full of bad D&T cards from the new set. And we're going to go and see how many of these interesting and terrible things that I can do. This is meant to be a humor stream, so it's not like entirely serious. I'm gonna like play it competitively, but like we're gonna play a bad deck list, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. So that's gonna be at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow night. And if you're a lover of D&T or this channel, I hope you'll tune in. Sword of Truth and Justice. Yeah, so we have Sword of Truth and Justice and Sword of Sinew and Steel. They're gonna be in the main deck. Yeah, and if I 5-0 while playing that deck list and it gets published, I'm just going to claim that it is absolutely the correct D&T deck list, and it is the way of the future to see how many more people I can get to play the terrible deck list. That's the plan. All right, folks, that's the end of my content for today. If you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing to the channel or even just following the channel. I'm doing my best to put out a lot of Legacy content, and if you're really enjoying, please consider doing a donation deck list to get something you want to see on stream. Coming up next week, I have a Ren and 6 4-color loam stream again, as well as a Teamer Crash deck. That is that Rhino card with Cascade. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to host a very small streamer who is apparently on Eon Belcher. So I'm gonna turn you over to them. Have a great rest of the afternoon, folks, and keep on playing Legacy.